Welcome back to the Easy DevTuts HTML tutorial. And in the last video, what we did was we went over the H group tag and what goes in an H group tag, and we gave some examples. I removed some of the code and modified it a bit, and I'm gonna leave it like this. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an H2 tag, and within that tag, I'm gonna put Easy Web Development Tutorials. And I'm going to introduce a new tag, which is the image tag. Now the image tag is pretty cool. What it does is it allows you to display images on a web page, and it takes a few attributes, and we're going to go over what some of them are. As you can see now, what has happened after I hit space, and I'm using the brackets editor, so if you're using a different editor, this might not happen. I see a bunch of attributes that are accessible to me. The most important one is the source attribute, and when I click on it from that drop down menu, I get the source attribute written out equals to, and in double quotations I get an empty space, and what goes in this empty space is actually the path to the image that you want to display. Now what I mean by path is the location of the image that you want to use. If this path is the location of an image that you have on your own computer, then you would put the location. If it's within the directory that we set up, and if you remember way back in our setting up video, we created a folder, and I called mine HTML. If you had an image in there, for example, a logo, and it was of a .jpg type, you would reference it that way. If your image was somewhere on the web, for example, I like to use this website, http://placehold.it for images. I like to use that sort of as a placeholder stuff, and you set it up like that. And I'm going to keep this example just to show you how it works. I'm going to put 125x 125, and that just means I want my image to be 125 pixels in height and width. So when I save it and I go back to my browser and I refresh it, I'll see the image shown up here along with the title and the subtitle that I have for my page. You can add text using placeholder. You can do that by adding the ampersand and then writing out text equal to, and you can put whatever you want. I'm just going to put logo, and I'm just going to save it and switch back to my browser. And when I refresh, you'll see the text logo. Again, placeholder is just a neat little tool you can use for placeholder images. If you have an image of your own and you want to use it, and let's say it's in your folder, as I said before, you can reference it by writing out the path and then just using the file name. Now, I don't want to get too much into setting up a website. I really just wanted to use the image tag and show how it's used. Eventually, we'll get to building our own website, and I'll show you about setting up your folder to contain images and CSS and HTML and all that. But for now, this placeholder will do the job. So let's just continue talking about the image tag. Now, since we're going to be adding a few more attributes, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to introduce another tag, another attribute, which is the alt attribute. And the alt attribute is really important because not all browsers are going to display images. For example, who are using browsers that do not require the loading of images might not display your image, and instead they'll display a text. So it's important to use the alt tag for those types. You want to make your website as accessible as possible, I guess you can say. And again, if someone who's using a browser that doesn't support images were to load your page, they would instead see this text here rather than an image. Now, another case in which somebody might see this alt text is if the path to this image is incorrect. So maybe you're referencing something that doesn't exist, on the web, or maybe your referencing path is incorrect or it's not a supported format. Now, if you were to leave this alt attribute out, you wouldn't be doing anything incorrectly, but in the semantic, from a semantic viewpoint, you would be telling your browser and visitors with screen readers that this image is not very important to the website. Now, because this is a logo, you would want to put this alt attribute because your logo is a part of your brand and it's pretty important. Now, there's several other attributes that the image tag can take in, and I won't go over them. I would encourage you instead to search around and find out what they are. For example, one of them is the height attribute, and you can define what the height of the image should be. So let's say for whatever reason I wanted to make it 500 pixels and maybe, I don't know, 300 pixels wide, and then I go back and refresh. I would be resizing it, but as you can see, it's kind of blurry now, or maybe you can't tell, but it's definitely stretched and blurred, and you would most likely want to use CSS for this type of stuff. And also, I've kind of clearly defined the dimensions of this image, so that's why it's going to look like that. But again, feel free to look up the image tag and any other tag I've gone over and find out some of the other things you can do with them. That's going to be pretty much it for the image tag. In my next video, I'm going to go over another element that's commonly used in the header tag, which is the Nav tag. And the Nav tag is short for navigation, and of course that means navigation between pages on your website or maybe sections of your page. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share these videos with anyone you know who might be interested in learning, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.